Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This would not follow along in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Supervisor. Trustee Bussino?
Here.
Trustee Nevers?
Present.
Trustee Oliver?
Here.
Trustee Smith?
Here.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Here.
Clerk Posey here. Supervisor Dunn?
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. We have the approval of the agenda items. Ms. Posey, are there any corrections or additions?
There's the proposed add-ons that are on the agenda. 2 under consent, under human resources, items number 7A, proposed add-on request for family and medical leave of absence, employee number 188. Item number 7B, proposed add-on request for family and medical leave of absence, employee number 101. And on new business, under general counsel, a proposed add-on item number 12, amendment to consent judgment 23 in Card Plaza. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else have any additions or deletions or corrections to the agenda?
Hearing none, Clerk Posey will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Ms. Posey,
Support by Nevers.
supported by Ms. Nevers to approve the agenda as presented. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Clerk Posey, yes. Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. That motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the bills. There's 2 bill runs. If anyone wishes an item removed, please indicate so at this time.
Yes, Madam Chair, I am having a little trouble hearing you, but I'm making a motion that if there are no issues with either bill run, I move that we approve both.
Motion by Ms. Nevers,
Thank you, that's
Support
better.
by Goodhue.
seconded by Ms. Goodhue to authorize payment of both bill runs. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. That motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the minutes from the meeting of August 12th, 2020. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the previous meeting minutes from August the 12th, 2020 as presented.
Motion by Ms. Goodhue,
Support by Smith.
Clerk Posey supports.
supported by Ms. Smith, to approve the minutes from August 12th, 2020. Ms. Posey, call the roll.
Yes, Madam Chair. Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. That motion is carried. Next, we have the consent agenda. These are routine matters that come before the board frequently. If you wish to discuss an item on the consent, please indicate so at this time.
Hearing none, Karen Goodhue, like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Motion by Ms. Goodhue,
Support Smith.
supported by Ms. Smith to approve the consent agenda. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn?
Yes, that motion carries. Next, we have public comments. This is on agenda and non-agenda items. Please state your name for the record, and remember there is a 3-minute time limit.
If any member of the public wishes to speak, you can please raise your hand digitally using star 9 on your phone or within the Zoom app itself, and I'll call on you. And Kathy Shane, go ahead.
Hi, yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. I'm here to ask for an update on the road situation for the Legacy Farms subdivision, which sits between North Avenue and Fairchild at 22 Mile Road. The issue of our subdivision being consistently used as a cut-through for 5 other large communities has been a huge concern for residents here. This concern was addressed at a special meeting held by the Township Planning Commission on April 16th, 2019. And from what I can tell, it seems that there has been no progress on any of the solutions that were offered at that meeting. I wrote to the Department of Roads at the end of June, and they basically told me that 22 Mile Road would not be going through at least anytime soon because it's just too costly. And they also told me that our subdivision, the roads are important for the flow of traffic for the county. We get a lot of traffic in our subdivision. As I said, there are 5 other communities that travel regularly through our roads. They are starting to crumble and buckle. They are not in good condition. The temporary entrance to enter our subdivision off of 22 Mile Road is in terrible condition. At that April 16th meeting, it was discussed that, and I know there's an item on tonight's agenda for the Pinnacle Farms new development. Eventually, there should be a Sheffield Farms development as well that would connect our subdivision to Pinnacle Woods and offer 2 other routes for travelers. And I'm just wondering where the township stands on this issue. I would like to get an update. From what I can tell, the Sheffield Farms development was approved by the board back in August of 2018. And we don't see any progress. If 22 Mile Road's not going to go through, I just have huge concerns with the amount of traffic. Legacy, the last phase of Legacy Estates is, to my knowledge, sold out, and they are starting construction. All of that construction will be coming down our streets. And I would just like to know if there's anything that can be done.
Thank you. Next.
Frank Cusimano, go ahead.
Frank Cusimano, 16188 Jenny Drive. I'm making comment on agenda item number 8, the special assessment district for street lighting for Pinnacle Farms condominium project. Just from my basic research, I understand that this is a new condo development. It was incorporated August 13, 2019. And just generally for everyone's information, the developer usually has wide latitude under the master deed and the condo documents to take action on behalf of the association. But nowhere in the resolution does it say who the petitioner is. I'm assuming that the developer is the petitioner on behalf of the nonprofit association, and that the association is paying the contribution of the $81,783. That would be a significant amount if spread out over the 66 units. My question is there any benchmark or measure for about the street lighting required? Is there a rule of thumb, and how much does this work out to be per pole? It does not mention the number of poles in the resolution. It does not name the petitioner. It repeatedly mentions installation, so it infers that the assessment will be against the 66 units for the full cost of installation, which would be the $95,000.
Mr. Cusmano?
Did I go over 3 minutes, Madam Chair?
Mr. Cusmano, I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute. You can speak to this issue during the public hearing. If you wanted the board to be aware of anything else, you can do that now. It's up to you.
Okay. Well, I was going to just forego the public comment and the street lighting hearing, and just let me conclude my remarks by saying, over the years, I've made the statement that the associations, condo associations and homeowners associations should be able to have the opportunity to go directly to a vendor such as DTE Energy or other electrical utility suppliers to power their streetlights. Otherwise, they're stuck with whatever the Michigan Public Service Commission sets as the rate. Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my remarks for this evening.
Very well. Thank you. Next.
Robert Waltz, go ahead. He had his hand up for a second, and I think he might have just put it down. I'm not really sure. Robert, I have unmuted you. Did you want to speak?
Yes, please. I need to speak about that topic of street lighting when Pinnacle Farms SAD for street lighting comes up.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyone else?
Doesn't look to be. No one else, Janet.
No one else? Ryan?
No one else, Janet.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then we will close the public comments portion and go to the public hearing. This is a public hearing and resolution adoption for street lighting, special assessment district for Pinnacle Farms condominium. I will open the public hearing. It is 7:14. Mr. Van Tifflin?
Yes, Madam Chairperson, board members, this is a standard requirement for new developments. The developer has deposited all of the funds for the construction of the streetlights in accordance with the estimate that we received from DTE. We're now at a point where we can establish a special assessment district for the lamp charges that the subdivision will experience going forward.
Can you address Mr. Cusmano's concerns?
With regard to the special assessment district, versus doing it privately, the township set up the procedure and the standard for this as a special assessment district. I think the concern at the time that this was set up to be a special assessment district only was what happens if the association in a subdivision case ceases to exist, or the community decides that they're not paying for streetlights anymore. What is the recourse that the township has, since the ordinance does require streetlights in all new subdivisions?
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this issue?
Yes, Robert Waltz, go ahead.
As part of the development team, we support the creation of the SAD because it allows us as developers to control the development of Pinnacle Farms. We feel streetlights are important, not only for sale of the properties, but for safety and for appearance. And we feel that it is best to have the SAD so that the developer and the engineering department of Macomb Township and Detroit Edison work together, because we're only dealing with 3 people who want this to go forward and not 66 individual homeowners. This could never pass. The cost becomes controllable when they deal with the developer, because we agree with the correct number of streetlights that must go up, and we pay that bill. This is truly the best way to have a streetlights in a development such as this, and we like it for the safety reasons. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Waltz. Anyone else?
Yes, Frank Cusimano here. Go ahead, Frank.
Frank Kuzmano, 16188 Jenny Drive. I always forget to hit the unmute button. I suppose that what's just been indicated by Mr. Waltz is that the developer is paying for the installation up front, and that's not going to be part of the assessment. That was one of my questions. But I suppose in the event that the association did not pay its bills or fulfill its obligations under the ordinance, the street lighting ordinance, that time, once that development occurred, then there would be a special assessment district imposed because they haven't fulfilled their obligations. I just wanted to make sure that my position was clear, that I'm not against special assessment districts. And I understand the utility of dealing with just 3 people, but at this stage, I understand that these are vacant units and they are unoccupied. From my survey of the addresses with the assessor's office, none of them have been listed as on the tax rolls. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Anyone else? You see anyone else, Ryan?
I do not.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I will close the public hearing. It is 7:18. Comments, questions, or motion?
Madam Chair, this is Karen Goodhue. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the adoption of the street lighting special assessment district for Pinnacle Farms condominium.
Motion by Ms. Goodhue. Is there a second on that?
Seconded by Nevers.
Seconded by Ms. Nevers to adopt the resolution for special assessment street lighting for Pinnacle Farms. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Treasurer Goodhue,
Yes.
Trustee Nevers,
Yes.
Trustee Bussino,
Yes.
Trustee Oliver,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. This resolution is adopted. Thank you. Moving on to new business, we have the Water and Sewer Department requesting approval to pay construction pay estimate number 7. This is for sanitary sewer rehabilitation by FCIPP and SCIPP lining. Mr. Langland.
Thank you, Supervisor Dunn and board members. Tonight, Water and Sewer is in front of you requesting we move forward with pay estimate number 7. This will be payable to Incitriform Technologies in the amount of $204,559.79. Water and Sewer has reviewed this as well as engineering, and we are recommending that we move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been doing these for so long, but I will ask anyway. Any questions for Mr. Langland? Any motion?
Madam Chair, Clerk Posey makes a motion to approve the request to pay construction payment estimate number 7, 2019 sanitary sewer rehabilitation by FCIPP and SCIPP lining, project number 0249-0163 in the amount of $204,559.79.
Motion by Ms. Posey,
Support by Nevers.
supported by Ms. Nevers. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Clerk Posey, yes. Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Bucino?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yeah.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. This motion is adopted.
Thank you, board.
Next, we have general counsel, and this is an amendment to the consent judgment for Elite Corporate Park. Mr. Sordi.
Madam Chair and members of the board, this is a request with the planning department to authorize signing of a consent judgment relative to the property, the Elite Corporate Park property. We had a consent judgment on this property from October of 2017. The property is zoned M1 light industrial. In the original consent judgment, it was agreed that unit 3 of the development could be a hotel for up to 4 stories or up to 6 stories if it was a national chain hotel. And if it wasn't going to be built, it would be a hotel wasn't going to be built, it would revert back to M1. At this time, the owner is requesting an amendment to the consent judgment to allow Unit 3 to be developed as a self-storage facility, which is allowable use under M1 zoning, and for it to be up to 3 stories. So with that, it's been approved by engineering, planning, fire, water and sewer, building, and our department. So with that, with the planning department, we're requesting authorization for me to sign the attached consent judgment. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I know Mr. Box will as well.
Thank you. Any questions from the board on this consent judgment?
Madam Chair, Trustee Oliver, I have a question
Go ahead.
to our legal. So if I understand this right, the up to 6-story building hotel will be off the table if we agree to this?
Pursuant to this agreement, correct. If it's built per this agreement, then it'll be off the table. That's correct.
Okay. And what is our ordinance? Maybe this is for Mr. Bach. Right now in an M1 zoning, we're allowed to go 3 stories on a storage building.
This is Mr. Box. No, right now M1 zoning limits at 2 stories or 45 feet, which is part of the reason they're making their request for 3 stories. Under the original consent judgment, if the hotel was not built, it would revert back to general M1 zoning, which again, this fits into M1 zoning, except they are requesting a third story, which is why they need an amendment.
Okay, and Mr. Bach, are you okay with the third story?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Thank you.
Have any
No
questions?
further questions.
Madam Chair, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion to authorize the execution of the attached amendment to consent judgment.
Motion by Ms. Nevers,
Support by Goodhue.
seconded by Ms. Goodhue to approve this amendment and authorize legal to sign. it. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Trustee Nevers,
Yes?
Treasurer Goodhue,
Yes.
Trustee Bussino,
Yes.
Trustee Oliver,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yeah.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. This motion carried. Thank you. This is another consent judgment. This is the third amendment for Castle Rock Retail Center and the Dairy Queen. Mr. Sorday.
Madam Chair and members of the board, this is again a request with the planning department that we've, Mr. Box and I have discussed this and we've presented it under my section of the agenda because it does request the signing of a consent judgment. But with that, this request is to accept a third amendment to the consent judgment known as Castle Rock. We've agreed to a consent judgment with two amendments on the property going back to August of 2017. The property is currently zoned as O1 office low rise. At this time, they're requesting an amendment to the consent judgment to allow for a driveway to connect the two pieces of the development, which currently is a Dairy Queen and retail center. Because that driveway is not shown on the current site plan in the consent judgment, an amendment is required. Again, this has been reviewed by engineering, planning, fire, water and sewer, building, and the legal department. So with that, you'd ask again for authorization to execute the third amendment to consent judgment.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Sorday?
Madam Chair, this is Karen Goodhue. I'd like to make a motion to approve the third amendment to the consent judgment for Castle Rock Retail Center Dairy Queen.
Motion by Ms. Goodhue,
Support by Smith.
ordered by Ms. Smith to approve the amendment, the third amendment to this consent judgment. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Treasurer Goodhue,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yeah.
Trustee Bussino,
Yes.
Trustee Nevers,
Yes.
Trustee Oliver,
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. That motion carried. Now we have the add-on, and that is an amendment to the consent judgment for 23 Mile and Card Road Plaza. Mr. Sordy.
Madam Chair and members of the board, this is another request to execute a consent judgment by the planning department and the legal department. The current property, the property involved is at 23 and Card Plaza. It is subject to a consent judgment going back to March of 2004. It's currently zoned C1. In the original consent judgment, it was agreed that parcel D of that development would be a Flagstar Bank, which included a drive-through. At this time, it's been determined that Flagstar Bank will no longer be building in that location, and the new purchaser is requesting to amend the consent judgment to allow parcel D to be developed into a retail establishment with an adjacent drive-through restaurant. Again, this has been reviewed by engineering, planning, fire, water and sewer, building, and legal departments. And I can certainly answer any questions, and as I know Mr. Box will as well relative to this, but are asking for a motion to authorize execution of the attached amendment to consent.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Madam Chair, this is Karen Goodhue. I'll make a motion to execute the amendment to the consent judgment for 23 and Card Plaza.
Motion by Ms. Goodhue,
Support by Nevers.
supported by Ms. Nevers, to adopt this amendment to the CJ consent judgment. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Treasurer Goodhue,
Yes.
Trustee Nevers,
Yes.
Trustee Bucino,
Yes.
Trustee Oliver,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. Motion carries. Next, we have a resolution establishing a moratorium. Mr. Assorti, if you take us through this, please.
Sure, absolutely. Madam Chair, members of the board, forgive me for being a little lengthy on this, but I know it's a very important topic to the township. And so back on November 4th of 2008, Michigan voters approved a ballot initiative that legalized medical marijuana, and then which eventually became Michigan's Medical Marijuana Act. That act allowed for patients and their caregivers to cultivate medical marijuana within an enclosed, locked facility in order for those individuals to be entitled to protections under the act. The state construction code allows Macomb Township to adopt and enforce state building codes at the local level, which we have. Mr. Maple's department and the whole township have been going through the process of the permit process for construction associated with these types of building. Unfortunately, the townships experience numerous problems relative to these grow operations in amongst other things, residential districts. It ranges from all types of improper electrical supply, ventilation issues that include numerous air handling and air conditioning units, many times placed in the wrong location, all designed for the cultivation of marijuana, obviously not designed to be placed in a residential area. In fact, in one case, it rose to the level that the township was required to file for a request for an injunction in the circuit court, stopping this type of activity. The Zoning Enabling Act allows the township to regulate the use of land through zoning ordinances. On April 27th of this year, the Michigan Supreme Court had a case of DeRuiter versus Byron Township. In that case, the Supreme Court found that the township zoning ordinance relative to that restricted caregivers marijuana cultivation to a particular zoning district did not conflict with the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. With that decision, it's important that we as a township are able to take a look at this and whether or not our zoning ordinances need to be amended. I'm sure anyone in the building department, my office, the supervisor's office can attest to the numerous phone calls we receive every day about requests to cultivate medical marijuana in a residential district, and from residents complaining about neighbors who are cultivating under the medical marijuana law. We have been communicating with other communities. The deputy supervisor has identified the resolution that was recently adopted by Shelby. We've been in contact with Shelby Township since we share a district court for enforcement. We're working with them. We've also talked with a few other local communities who are all experiencing the same type of issues. From individuals who have medical marijuana caregiver cards, who are attempting to cultivate marijuana in a residential district in facilities that obviously are more of a commercial nature. So we're going to work with all of these communities and do what we can to get these in place. This moratorium is a legal process that allows us to deny any of these types of facilities for a period of time until we are able to develop an appropriate ordinance that the township deems appropriate, controlling this type of activity, that is within the law and the recent court decisions. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm sure there's a few other department heads that would be able to assist in that as well.
Thank you. Mr. Sorting, is there a definite time limit on this? I mean, you can have a moratorium for a year or 6 months, you know?
Right. So what's been proposed, and we basically are proposing the same as what Shelby Township did, that it lasts for 120 days.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have questions?
Madam Chair, this is Trustee Smith. I do have a question. If this is for 120 days, and maybe I missed part of this, are we working on a new ordinance that'll be done within that 120 days, or we have an option to continue it after that time period?
We could certainly continue it, but we're anticipating that going through the Planning Commission level and then to the board for modifications of the zoning, modifications under the Zoning Enabling Act, which are at least one, if not two, public hearings and further deliberations by the board. Shelby had 120 days in there, and that seemed more than appropriate. We could certainly amend this or adopt an ordinance sooner if the board deemed it to be appropriate.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Sorty. And just one more question. With this moratorium, how are they going to be able to enforce it? So if a neighbor knows of something that's going on in a different home, they would call the police to come over to take a look at it? Is that what they're looking at?
That's correct. We currently have a permit process that we're allowed to inspect for construction under the act. We're allowed to check for electrical, mechanical, those types of things. So we can put a stop to that now while this moratorium's in place.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Yep.
I make a motion, this is Nevers, I make a motion to approve the attached resolution establishing a moratorium on issuance of any and all permits, approvals, certificates as they relate to any modifications to structures in any residential or commercial zoning district in order to cultivate marijuana as a patient caregiver.
Motion by Ms. Nevers.
Second by Posey.
Seconded by Ms. Posey. Would you, to adopt this resolution, Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. That resolution is adopted. Under the supervisor's office, we have a military leave policy. Mr. Sorting, you took hold of this and things that need to be changing on this particular one. Can you let us in on your findings and what you did?
Yes, Madam Chair. The township currently has in place a military leave policy. That policy is designed to be in compliance with the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. The current policy we have dates back to 2010. I've gone through that act and made a few changes to the military leave policy that include references to the manner in which the individual may be serving. And with that, I'd ask for a motion to authorize the military leave policy that's been proposed.
Thank you. Any questions?
Madam Chair, this is Clerk Smith. I'm sorry, Trustee Smith. I'll make that motion for military leave policy.
Motion by Trustee Smith,
Supported.
Second by Clerk Posey.
second by Ms. Posey to approve the military leave policy as requested. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Smith?
Yeah.
Clerk Posey, yes. Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes, that motion carries. And the next one is the Family and Medical Leave Act policy. Mr. Sorting.
Madam Chair, members of the board, our current Family Medical Leave Act policy was approved by the board on December 22nd, 2008, and became effective January 1, 2009. We've gone through with a great amount of effort through the HR specialist who spent a great amount of time going through this policy, looking at the FMLA requirements, and we're proposing some language changes under serious health condition and that comply with the current act. It gives a little bit more definition and now includes things such as diabetes, references to diabetes and Alzheimer's. In addition to that, after our department head meeting on Monday afternoon, a recommendation was made to me on a slight change to the language that I agreed with, made it even more clear, and I emailed that out to everyone on Monday afternoon. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but with that, ask for approval of the Medical Leave Act policy.
Thank you. Any questions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the updated Family and Medical Leave Act policy.
Motion by Ms. Posey,
Support by Goodhue.
seconded by, I'm not sure who.
Treasurer Goodhue?
I Treasurer Goodhue, to approve the Family and Medical Leave Act policy. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Clerk Posey, yes. Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yeah.
And Supervisor Dunn?
Yes, that motion carries also.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is Treasurer Goodhue.
yes.
I'd like to propose that any other policies that have been amended be placed on agendas for the future board. That way they will read them, they will agree with them, and because they are the ones that are going to have to enforce them, I think that it makes sense for the new board to approve the next policies that have been amended. Most of them haven't been amended for 10 years, so I don't think a few more months would make much difference. But I just think it would be fair for the new board. If we pass these now, I'm afraid they'll just be put on a shelf and kind of forgotten. But if they have to read them, they have to understand them, and then they vote on them, it's easier to enforce something that you understand. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that any other policies that have been amended be placed on future agendas for the new board.
Well, I have to disagree with you. I think the new board is going to have an awful lot on their plate right at the beginning, and to have the policies in place already that they can look at and say, this is what we're supposed to do. I just think it would be much better to go forward with this. However, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Yes, I will second that motion. This is Nevers.
Nevers to approve the policy of postponing it until after November 20th. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
No.
Trustee Smith?
Madam Chair, may I ask a question or do I need to vote?
Go ahead.
My question is, even if as the board as is, we do these policies now, a new board's able to make changes to that policy if they feel the need to after they're elected, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh, my answer is no.
Clerk Posey, no. Supervisor Dunn?
No. Motion fails. Now we have the Facilities and Grounds Department, and this is the Community Development Block Grant Sidewalk Ramp Program. Mr. Gelly.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Supervisor and members of the board. Tonight I'm requesting authorization to award the contract for the Sidewalk Ramp Program to Luigi Fernandi and Sons Cement Company in the amount of $189,956. This bid was placed on Mitten with 4 bids received. Luigi Fernandi and Sons Cement Company was the lowest qualified bidder. This project will include the removal and replacement of sidewalk ramps and curb and gutter at 23 intersections within sections 30 and 36. The new ramps will be ADA compliant when completed. The cost for this project will be shared between the Township and the Macomb County Community Development Grant. The amount of CDBG funding available for this project is $105,579. This would leave the Township responsible for the remaining $84,377. I am available for any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Gelly?
Trustee Oliver has a question. Mr. Gelly?
Yes, sir.
Has this contractor worked for us in the past?
Yes, on several projects.
In performance?
Has been great.
Okay. All righty. And the balance, if I understand it right, was $84,377, and that's what the Township will have to pay?
That is correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anyone else? Are there any motion?
Madam Chair, I'd move on that motion for the CDBG Sidewalk Ramp Program,
Motion.
$189,956 even.
Motion by Mr. Oliver.
Support Smith.
Seconded by Smith to approve the CDBG Sidewalk Ramp Program. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Supervisor. Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. That motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have Parks and Recreation Department, and this is resurfacing of the lazy river. Mr. DeCaro.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, the Parks and Recreation Department is requesting permission to resurface the lazy river portion of the pool. With the governor's shutdown, we'd like to take this time to accomplish a couple of maintenance projects. We placed this item on Mitten. We received one bid for $14,450. I've included the bid and the confirmation of process memo from the purchasing specialist. At this time, we're recommending we award the contract to Advanced Pools for $14,450. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Has this ever been done before, Mr. DeCaro?
We have done patchwork to it. We've never done the complete lazy river.
Okay, I thought. Any other questions?
Yeah, Trustee Oliver's got a question.
Okay.
Mr. DeCaro, when you say resurfacing, are they going to sandblast it and repaint it, or just give me a
they're going to. Yeah, it's done with Marshite, so yeah, they'll sandblast it. The pool is now empty because of the painting that we had just done. So yeah, they'll sandblast it, Marshite it, and it'll be like when we opened.
Very good. And this has to be pretty specialized work, being that you only got one bid on it.
That's correct. Actually, the last 3 projects that we've had regarding the pool and resurfacing, there's only been one company in the area to do it.
Very good. Thank you. No further questions.
Madam Chair, if I may address Trustee Oliver. Also, I know a lot of the pool companies are extremely busy right now because of the backlog from COVID, the delayed start that they had. So there's a lot of companies that are already overly extended.
Thank you.
That's correct.
That's all. Madam Chair, if there's no further questions, I'll make a motion to award contract to Advanced Pool Services Incorporated for $14,450. Clerk Posey.
Motion by Ms. Posey.
Support by Oliver.
Supported by Mr. Oliver to resurface the lazy river. Ms. Posey, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Clerk Posey, yes. Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Bussino?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Treasurer Goodhue?
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. That motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we come to board comments, and trustees' comments are first. And Ms. Smith.
Thank you. Madam Chair, the one thing I'd like to discuss this evening is regarding these Zoom hearings. I'm finding it, I can't speak for everyone, I'm finding it very hard to hear sometimes, and I know a lot of us talk over each other, not on purpose. Is there any way we can do something different or work with the IT department, maybe doing it with the audio, or maybe we can, or maybe I should be calling IT to see if we can discuss something different, maybe having us come in and social distance, if that will work. I was just curious what the thoughts of the board members are on that matter.
We can look into that.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Nevers. I would speak to that as well. I don't seem to have any difficulties hearing Kathy or Christy or Charlie, but I do have a problem hearing Ms. Dunn. That's my only remark.
Well, we will definitely take a look at this. Anything else, Ms. Smith?
No, No, I have nothing further. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Oliver.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. One thing I want to speak on, the resident that come in and talked on 22 Mile Road, I urge the board members to go and see what she was talking about, because it is a severe problem. It basically ends east of North Avenue about a half a mile, and then you have to go through their subdivision. So as a board, if we could do anything, work with the county and try to get 22 Mile Road expanded up to Fairchild, that would be very good for traffic, and I think it'd be a very safe issue, because them residents really kind of didn't expect that to turn out that way when them subdivisions started. And the county kind of opened that up because it is a public road, and I understand that. They cannot close it, but still it is a problem. So if the township, our engineering, our planning, all of our departments, if there's anything we could do to help that situation, it is a problem. So that's all I want to comment on. Thank you.
Mr. Busno.
Madam Chair, I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nevers.
I too have nothing further to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodhue.
Yes. The due date for the summer taxes is just about 2.5 weeks away on September the 14th. And I would like to encourage the residents that like to mail their payments in to please do so as soon as possible. We do not accept postmarks, and mail is taking a little bit longer nowadays with the situation that we're in. We do have contactless payments available. You can use our online service on our website. I want to remind people that only when you use a credit card or a debit card is there a convenience fee of 3%. When you use your checking account, it is free. Also, we have the drop box at the back of the building. You can drop your payments in there. We do not want you to put cash in there, but you can drop your payments in there, and it's locked, it's secure, it's only opened by the Treasurer's Department, and posted for the day before you drop. We pick up every morning at 8 a.m., and they are posted for the day before. If you do want to come in to the township, you will be requested to come in between the hours of 9 to 4, wear a mask, have your temperature taken, and fill out a short health survey. If none of these possibilities are convenient for you, please call my office and we will try to accommodate you in any way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk's comments. Ms. Posey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to say that voters who haven't already applied for their absent voter ballot and are on our permanent AD list should expect to receive an application from us the first part of September. I just want to remind voters that when they receive the application, they have to complete it and return it to our office before we can issue them a ballot. Some voters tend to forget or mistake the fact that they've completed it for one election and think that they don't have to do it. The state requires us to receive an application for every election. If they checked both the August and November election on the previous application, they will receive a ballot. I'd also like to encourage everyone to use the michigan.gov/vote website. You can verify several things. You can see if someone in your household is registered to vote. You can verify if your absentee voter ballot is going to be sent to you. by our projected September 24th date. And you can also apply to receive a ballot by mail on the site also. So it's very user-friendly. It's a useful tool for many different things voting related, so I encourage residents to utilize it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Van Tifflin, are you still there?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Do you remember a while back we were talking about having a meeting with the Department of Roads and some of the local subdivisions where their roads were crumbling?
Yes.
Is that still something that we're contemplating?
We can certainly bring that up. We have a meeting with regard to Garfield Road coming up in early September. We can certainly bring that up to them and kind of gauge their interest in doing that.
I was thinking about the 22 Mile Road situation. We could probably talk about that also at the same meeting.
Yes, yeah, we can definitely do that. We have some, so last year, I think it was mentioned in the public comments that there was a public hearing that was held with the Planning Commission. That was in the spring of 2019. There were a number of recommendations that came out of that meeting based on public input. That was given to the Township Board. The Township Board directed the supervisor to send correspondence to the Department of Roads with all of those recommendations included. That was done. I have had a couple of conversations with the Department of Roads since. They do not appear to be interested in extending 22 Mile Road. There's a house that's in the way, and the cost of acquiring that house and putting the road through seems to be the stumbling block. We have reiterated I think we first started to make this request of them more than 5 years ago when the subdivision started to take off as far as building permits. And so we have repeatedly made this request. Even last year when we had the conversations with them, we reiterated our interest in participating in the cost of having 22 Mile Road extended to try and address the problem. But there were also a number of other recommendations that were in that correspondence that went to the Department of Roads. And we can certainly follow up with those things as part of our Garfield meeting. We do discuss other things besides Garfield, and that meeting happens about once a month.
The only holdback that I can see is we can't do it on the phone like we have to do our meetings. It's going to be after the governor clears the way for us to have meetings in person, face-to-face in the boardroom.
Yes, and we have had some face-to-face meetings with them, since we've all been allowed back to work. So we can certainly make that request.
Okay, thank you. On another note, don't forget the Hazardous Waste Day, which is this Saturday here at Town Hall from 9 until 1 p.m. The other thing is that we've had a huge promotion in our township, and it doesn't include any of our employees, but our very own Lieutenant Stephen Briney has been promoted from lieutenant to captain. He will still be in this area, and he has promised that we won't get preferential treatment, but I'm sure that he will be watching over us. And congratulations on his promotion, and I couldn't think of a better person. We have not been assigned a new person yet, but when we do, I will bring it to your attention. The other issue is the Historical Commission is going to be having a book launch, and that is going to be September 19th at the former Reed Nursery property. This book has all pictures of the olden days, as my grandmother likes to say. So that's September 19th, and it will be from 10 to 1. So drop by, take a look at the old town hall, which is becoming the new town hall, because the facilities and grounds people have been working on this for quite some time. And tomorrow I'm gonna go take a peek, and I will let you know. That is all I have for this evening, and that concludes the business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Clerk Posey makes a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Posey,
Support by Smith.
seconded by Ms. Smith to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Clerk Posey, yes. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Bucino?
Yes.
Trustee Nevers?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Treasurer Goodhue? Treasurer Goodhue?
Sorry. Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes. That motion carries, and we are adjourned.